time to start this show. Welcome. This is the first show of the year. Trying to get everything turned on. All right. It's on. We're on. Here we go, man. January 2nd, 2020. That's going to be weird to say. I know usually at the start of every year, for the first couple of months, I probably still refer to it as the previous year up until maybe the end of March. It's a bad habit, terrible habit, I don't know. It's just something I do because I'd be getting so used to writing down a specific year that I just don't want to let go of it, in a sense of, saying, I almost said January 2nd, 2019, 10 times today when I was talking to people. So it is 2020. Jackson 2020. We're campaigning. Best radio show in the world. I don't know. Everything just sounds good when you say, yeah, 2020 to it. It's just like, yo, STD free 2020. Chocolate cake free 2020. Let's see. Hoe free 2020. I don't know. It's just anything you want, and you just add 2020 to it. It sounds good. But yeah, man, I'm still trying to wake up, man. I was moving stuff all day, and then I ended up coming home taking a nap. So I just woke up like an hour ago, and now it's time to do the show. But that's just kind of dope because, I'm ready to do the show and then take my black ass to sleep. Slit, man. This is the Meaningful Jackson Show. This is I think this is the 23rd or 24th episode, which is pretty cool because, we just been getting it, man. We're cruising along. We're knocking out these shows one by one every single week, man. It's lit. We have identified one of our co-hosts. We're going to end up having 2 new people for the show. So not just one, we're going to have 2. And so we're waiting to identify the third person, and then I will announce these people. I think it's going to be good, man. We're looking at making big changes in 2020. Shit, you'll even see already, I got a new table. Well, not a new table. The other one, it didn't break, but it was on the verge of breaking. So I just went ahead and just got rid of it. There was no need to continue to try to make that table work. So we're on to bigger and better things, 2020. See how I did that? That's how simple it is, people. If you want to sound and feel like you're brand new, because it's the first week of the year, you just add the newest year, which is 2020. I've already specified that for those of you who are still faded or drunk or whatever the hell is going on with certain people today. And I'm going to get into why I'm saying that. But for those of you that don't know, I'm just going to add 2020 to everything because it's new, it's exciting, and it's because it is 2020. We are now in the 20s. So let me tell a quick story before I announce the show. But basically today, right, I'm moving stuff to a storage unit. I reserved said storage unit. I reserved the shit last week. They knew that I was coming. Buddy literally has me on the schedule. And he called me to let me know that he had me on the schedule. Anyway, I show up, got the U-Haul loaded, everything. And there's nobody there at the storage place. I literally sat out front for an hour and a half. I had to call the corporate number about 3 times. Their district manager thought there was people there working. Fam, I was there. There were no staff. Thankfully, after about an hour and a half, somebody showed up to, save the day. I forget Buddy's name. I think his name was Kyle. But Kyle got me all set up, got me in there. But literally for an hour and a half, I'm just sitting out front of the public storage place, just waiting for somebody to pull up. And every time I call, they try to tell me that there were people working. I'm like, fam, I'm telling y'all that I'm here, and there's nobody here. So I'm just under the assumption that whoever was working the counter that day or in the office, whatever, they must have still thought they was on holiday because they just decided to take the morning off. And even had their bosses convinced that they were on shift when they were not on shift. So it's been an interesting day. Like I said, so there's still a lot of people who are in vacation mode. I am one of those people. I'm still currently, savoring the last couple of days of my vacation. It has not been the greatest of vacations, that's for sure. A lot of good things, but man, there's been some people who've gotten on my fucking nerves on this vacation. And one of the things I'm doing in 2020 is I'm gonna continue to be brutally honest. And that means even with some of the people that I personally know, I'm gonna have to let them know to their faces that they're getting on my fucking nerves. And I think that's what it should be all about. It should be all about being authentic this year, but also holding people accountable for the things they do and the ways in which they make me feel. I'm gonna say my piece and I'm just gonna let it go. But at the same time, I'm no longer going to hold back what I say to people because I let people skate all last year. People didn't learn their lesson. I mean, not even just last year, all previous years. People still just don't get it. So this is gonna be a different year, and it's gonna be lit. But either way, man, we're in 2020. We got a decent show planned. I mean, normally our Thursday shows, we're getting ready to go into the weekend, so we're closing out the week. With the holiday stuff, I didn't really do too much over the holidays, if we're being honest. I didn't even make it to midnight, which I don't ever do. I don't think I've stayed up until midnight to do some countdown shit. And I think I did last year. I barely made it last year, but I think even if I look at like the 10 years prior to that, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I actually made it to 12. And that's just because I'm one of those people now. I'm just like, I just go to sleep, man. It's just a regular day. This thing pops up every year. The clock continues to wind. Like I'm not gonna force myself to try to stay up because I know that I can't make it. I did everything I could on Tuesday to try to stay up, but it just wasn't happening. So here we are, man. 2020 rang in perfectly. I was taking a nap. I was sleeping pretty good. And now we are here. We're at the Thursday show. So January 2nd, the Memeco Jackson show is the first show of the year. It's lit. We got about 30 seconds and then we're going to go live on the air. I got to intro the show and I'm just going to intro and then we're going to dive into it, man. We're going to start talking and we're going to make time speed itself up. I'm just going to ramble because that's just what I do. Call me John Ramble. Not Rambo, Ramble. All right, man, let's get it. What's crack-a-lackin'? Sure, hostess with the mostest. Yeah, I said hostess because my fat ass likes cakes, man. It's Memeco Jackson. This is the Memeco Jackson show. You are tuned in live to Track Talk Radio, man. It's lit. It's January 2nd. This is the first show of the year. Man, it's crazy, man. It's 2020, and we are alive. Sorry, the music was still playing. I don't know why it's still playing. You press the stop button and it want to keep going. But anyway, let me re-announce it just in case you missed it. It's the Memeco Jackson show, man. It's the first show of the year, 2020, January 2nd, man. We're already 2 days into it. I'm already tired. Well, I need to get a redo somehow. So I'm waking up. I'm kind of coming out of a nap. I was taking a nap before this show. Not something I normally do, but today I'm extremely tired. I would like to say that I pushed it hard at the gym, but that's not what the fuck I was doing. At least not today. Today I was just moving stuff to the storage unit. Yo, you know what? I never used the U-Haul service, where you can like pay like $20 and rent like a van or truck and like drive around town. It really, shout out to U-Haul, man. Y'all made life easy for me this morning. I appreciate that. I was expecting it to be more of a hassle, But it was not, surprisingly. And the old guy working the front desk at this U-Haul place I went to, this guy's name is Kenny. Kenny, you are a funny dude, man. I hope you actually check out the show. I told Kenny about the show. Kenny seemed like he was having a good time with it. I don't think Kenny's gonna tune in though, only because Kenny probably was about 66 years old. He was pretty damn funny. I probably should have invited him to be on the show, but I don't know what me and Kenny would talk about. But he strikes me as the type of dude that probably has some funny war stories, probably, or maybe some, like, you know, back in my day type of stories, you know, maybe some wild ass shit from the 70s or something. But I also got the vibe that maybe Kenny was somebody that might have been like in witness protection or something. And maybe he was just over it after all these years. So I'm going to make up a story for Kenny. We're going to say that Kenny was somebody that maybe had been on the run from the mob, maybe was doing some real tough type of grimy work back in the day for some big time mob boss, and then somehow just whenever he, you know, went through the course of snitching on his partners and doing all that, they got to send him to witness protection program, and then he ended up in the state of Washington working at the U-Haul spot. And my man, you can tell he's been there for a while because there's certain things that I figured would have been like procedure, and Kenny just didn't really seem to give a shit. And one of the things that I noticed about Kenny is that I'm in there waiting at the counter, right? And I guess he had been helping some dude. And the guy comes in, and he was like waiting in this little van or whatever that he rented. He came back in, and the guy waits till I stop talking, and then, you know, he's not rude about it, but he goes, you know, hey man, do you need me to do anything else? And he goes, well, did you put gas in the car? And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, then what are you doing, man? You're good. Go ahead and get up out of here. And in my head, I'm thinking, fam, you're bugging. You're literally talking to the customers crazy right now. And then another guy comes in. I guess Buddy forgot to return. Like, I guess he rented something when he ordered the truck or vehicle, whatever he was doing, and he forgot to bring the thing back. So they make it very clear that any type of damage to equipment or like failure to return items, like you get charged for. Like even when I open the van, there's stickers and shit everywhere that says, yo, if you dent this, you pay for it. Like they're very particular, which is weird because it's like, fam, you guys got hundreds and hundreds of these vehicles, like, and you really have stickers like on the inside, like in the corners of the van, talking about if you dent this part, you're gonna pay for it. And I get it. You want to make sure that people understand that if they break your shit, they got to buy your shit. But Buddy comes in with whatever he forgot to give back on the day that he borrowed his truck. And when he addressed Kenny, I'm not making this up. I'm at the counter, and the guy's probably about 10 feet behind me. And he goes, hey, Kenny, I'm sorry, man. I forgot to bring this back. And I shit you not, bro. I'm at the counter. I'm handing the guy my driver's license. And I hear him go, this motherfucker. Like, and I'm right by him. Like, so, like, I know what I heard. Look, Kenny, if you hear this, bro, if you didn't say this, I'm sorry, man. Whatever you did say sounded like you literally said, this motherfucker. And he said it really low and only I could hear it. I'm surprised that I heard it because my hearing is absolutely terrible. But in that moment, I couldn't help but laugh. And I think the rest of the time I was in there, the dude thought that I was laughing at him. And he didn't seem very happy with me, but I was okay with being the bad guy in that moment because just the experience itself was hella funny. So shout out to Kenny at the U-Haul spot. My man Kenny was lit. Really old dude. I mean, it's just down the street too. So what I might have to do, I might go back down there and see if he want to be on the show. I mean, I don't have no business being at the U-Haul anymore this week. But if we can get Kenny to come on the show and maybe tell us some stories, or maybe tell us why he was so upset with Buddy. But the weird thing was he didn't like hit him with no late fees or do anything like that. He basically was just like, yo, man, just leave it outside. Like he said that to him. And then the guy stood in there. He was still in the lobby waiting. And then when Kenny walks with me outside to get my vehicle, Buddy, like you can tell he felt bad, but he was still standing there. And he goes, hey, Kenny, where do you want me to leave this? He's like, you can just leave it outside, bro. and then he just let the guy go be on his way. Um, so either way, Kenny, funny ass dude. I'm gonna try to add him to the guest list. I think if you guys could see this guy that I saw today, you would be laughing your ass off. Stupid funny, but shout out to Kenny, man. Uh, we have, I don't want to say we have a lot to dive into, but we do have a pretty decent show. We are going to start off by saying RIP to David Stern. A lot of you probably like, who the F is that? David Stern is the former commissioner of the NBA. He was commissioner of the NBA from 1984 to 2014. A lot of people probably thinking, why are you shouting out, a commissioner of a sports league? But mainly because of the way that he was able to innovate and help, take the game to greater heights. One of his biggest accomplishments within the game of basketball is, creating so many avenues for global basketball and giving opportunities to people who are overseas, more opportunities to people overseas to come over and play basketball in the NBA. Even our reigning MVP is a guy who's from Greece. He's not even, just some nigga that's from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? He's a young man from Greece. So the game has really changed a lot since, even the early 80s. He comes in the same year that Michael Jordan gets drafted. And a lot of what he wanted to do was find a way to market, especially African-American players, because at the time there was a lot of whispers that African-American players could not be marketed, and there's obviously white people think that we're all crazy, so they always think there's going to be the threat of violence. I know that at the time the NBA had a big cocaine problem, or drug problem, excuse me, and so you had a lot of players being involved in that type of stuff. And there's been stuff along the way where you had that one referee, Tim Donaghy, who got busted for cheating, and it's the Donald Sterling thing. A lot of that type of bullshit definitely happened under his reign, but either way, you can still look at where he put a lot of things in place to help the NBA go from an okay business to a really strong business that will be able to sustain for a long time. And they, obviously there's the bringing in of the WNBA, you're introducing the developmental leagues, you have basketball without borders. There was the whole change from sending college kids overseas to participate in the Olympics to then using the NBA players. You look at the dress code. The dress code kind of changed things too, man. All because of Allen Iverson, David Stern instituted a dress code, and then you didn't have guys showing up, wearing jerseys and do-rags to the games and stuff like that. And some people look at little things like that as being kind of stupid and kind of lame, but it's, it's one of those times within his time as commissioner where you can see where massive change came in. You have a lot of players, former execs, writers, all kinds of people that just have tremendous love and respect for David Stern. But man, died at age 77, and he died yesterday. He passed away, and it was because he had a brain hemorrhage last month. So those things are no joke, man. Shout out to his family. Man, I know for a lot of people, because I actually know someone who this happened to them, and my close friend was this person's significant other at the time. So I know how, just hearing his story and what he was telling me, about his young lady that went through this. And it's crazy how sudden it can just kind of happen to a person. And then before you know it, they're just gone. So RIP David Stern, man, you really put together, the NBA is in good hands. We'll just say that, man. I don't want to try to give him credit as if he invented the NBA, because that's obviously not the deal, but he's a major part of it. A lot of people give him, tremendous amounts of respect, and they say that he was just one of those guys who was always a great dude, but really about his business. So, shout out to him and his family, man. RIP. Dead at the age of 77. Honestly, even now in this day and age, that seems still kind of young. I know it's older, but you're still doing a lot at 77. Depending on how active you are. So, shout out to him, man. Let me check my phone before I dive into this next subject, because like I said, I took a nap, so maybe things have changed since I wrote my my notes. And yes, it has changed because I had a note on here where we were going to talk about the fact that Jerry Jones was delaying the inevitable by not firing Jason Garrett. So I decided, let me be responsible and let me open my ESPN app to make sure that I'm not going to go into the wrong side of this argument. And so it looks like Jerry and Stephen Jones have decided that Jason Garrett will not be a part of the organization moving forward. That's as of 9 minutes ago on ESPN. So finally, he actually has been let go. It's about damn time. Jason Garrett was not cut out to have the head coaching job for the Cowboys. There's all this talk about how Jerry loves him like a son and that he's family. And it seemed like maybe they were kind of pushing out and delaying his firing because maybe they were trying to find another opportunity for him within the organization, which would have been so stupid because what are you going to do? You're going to make a position for him? Jerry's already the GM and the owner, so Jason was not going to be the GM. You're not going to be the coach. You're not going to, get busted down to then become the assistant coach. It just wasn't going to be any of that. So, like, what's he going to do? Is he going to be like the water boy or something? He's going to work the mail room. Is he going to clean the jet, clean Jerry's boots? Like, what's Jason Garrett going to do? Finally, the answer is nothing that got this dude out of here. 8-8, which honestly, man, that's typical for them. But even still, you're talking about multiple years of being 8-8 or even worse. And there's not a lot of playoff runs. I mean, there's no run. A run implies that, like, you got there, you got hot, you went on some sort of streak. They've never even had that. You've had... It's not for lack of trying. Jerry, as a GM, I'll give Jerry Jones respect, man. He is a pretty great GM. If you look at what he's done over the last few years, the way they set up the offensive line, you're able to pay your running backs. I mean, yes, you did waste some draft picks on getting a number one wide receiver, but I feel like in the right situation and right scheme, Amari Cooper could end up being one of the best that we've ever seen because he can catch just about everything. I mean, there are knocks on him about toughness and endurance and, effort every now and again. But I think the Cowboys, they have it set pretty good where you have two good receivers, a good running back. Obviously, there weren't questions at the tight end, but your tight end was old as hell, which it was also weird to hear rumors that Jason Witten might become the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I think that's so stupid. I ain't gonna lie to you, fam. I'm sure Jason Witten is fully equipped to maybe coach some level of football, but I don't think you can have a guy who goes from being on your team to retiring to become a football analyst to then retiring from football analyst jobs or whatever to then going back to football, barely being productive, and now it's probably like he's just going to quit football again. I don't know if we want to just transition this guy back to like head coach, or not back to, but into a head coaching role, because then by week 6 he's going to be wanting to play, and then you're going to see him running out of the tunnel with his fucking jersey on probably. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But Jason Garrett had multiple opportunities to, make life, exquisite for the Dallas Cowboys, their organization, and their fans, and he was not able to accomplish that. So it's good that he's out of there, man. I'm sure Cowboys fans are happy. I know some of my friends who are Cowboys fans literally have been the last 3 days because so many coaches have been getting fired, but he had not been fired yet, which was weird. And people were trying to say, well, his contract doesn't actually end until January 12th, and they're trying to just get him to, finish out some of his normal duties and stuff like that before they let him go. But like, man, look, we all know that Jerry felt bad and he was trying to find a way to make things work, but I'm sure the position or job that Jerry offered Jason didn't want to do, because Jason thinks that he is an elite head coach. Fam, you are not. You're garbage. But he probably wants to coach football, doesn't want to be the towel boy, doesn't want to freaking carry Dak's jockstrap or any type of bullshit like that. And so it was time to move on. It's good that after all this time, they finally have parted ways. But when I wrote this topic down to discuss on my notes, I was planning to rip Jerry Jones based on the fact that it's just taken him so long to make a decision that we all know needed to be made. And it needed to be made like 9 years ago. I think when the last time you were in search of a head coach, Jerry, you probably should just not have hired him. That would have been ideal. Just don't hire him. You could have gotten somebody else, somebody who was more qualified, but you didn't. You picked a bum. You had a lot of bum years. And now hopefully you'll find somebody else who can come in and actually take the team that you've assembled and put them in a position of where they can potentially win a Super Bowl. I don't think it's likely with Jerry still owning the team because he meddles too much and basically he's just like the ultimate micromanager. And then you see how he is because he plays multiple roles within that organization. He's the GM, he's also the owner, so like he's the one doing all the press conferences and so on and so forth, but he also pretty much owns all the media in Dallas to a degree that, and what I mean by that is like, when Jerry speaks, everybody listens. So like if he just wants to show up on a random Tuesday morning somewhere where there are cameras, if he starts to talk, people are going to listen and it's going to be front page news. So you got to think whoever is the coach of that team has to be okay with enduring the fact that Jerry Jones is the owner and general manager of that team until further notice. And further notice is pretty much until he RIPs or he's going to have to quit. And that's not likely. I can see Jerry owning this team and still making decisions for the team until the very end. Then the end could be a long time from now. Who knows? Or it could be very soon. We're not sure. But I'm sure Jerry's at the house right now crying because he felt bad about having to get rid of Jason Garrett because Jason's his boy. But fam, it was time to go, man. You owe your team and you owe the fans. You owe them so much more. You guys can't continue to go 8-8. You have a roster that on paper should have won. Now, I don't know if won the Super Bowl is the right way to say it, but the roster you have on paper should have taken you to the Super Bowl. And it took you to the toilet bowl. It took your fans to the toilet bowl because I'm sure these people are sick and they want to throw up and shit all over Cowboys because of how bad they are. 8-8, not even making the playoff. Listen, man, you know how good it felt today to sun somebody when they tried to talk about my team? And I literally was able to say, this coming from the person whose team didn't even make the playoffs. And I was able to say that with full confidence as a Bills fan, knowing that they couldn't say shit back to me. And that probably hurt them right here in the heart. You know why? Because Cowboys are what? They're America's team. I don't know which Americans, but they are America's team. There's a handful of Americans that like the Dallas Cowboys, and then there's the rest of us who realize that they are complete trash. But damn, man, these poor fans, they deserve better. They deserve better than 8-8. So anyway, let me get off that, man. There's a lot of firing. There's a lot of people who lost their jobs. We got a lot of people who are stepping into new roles as the week progresses and as we continue to wind down the rest of, the playoffs and the Super Bowl, all that. You're going to start to see a lot of massive changes, and then we got the draft coming up, and then before you know it, we're going to be right back in the training camp, and it's going to be September, and then we're going to be starting the season. So if you are sad that your team didn't make the playoffs, don't worry. It's just a short 9-month wait. It's not even that serious. Before you know it, the season will be starting. So 9 months, if you need something to do, man, go out and make a baby or something. By the time your baby arrives, football for your team will be back. It'll be perfect. New baby, new football team. There you go. Man, Jerry Jones, what a bum. I did want to shout out, I'm not going to say this young man's name because if I can remember to, I try not to say kids' names on the show. But this young man is just getting some praise. I'm going to say it. I think young guy's name is CJ. I'll just say that. But it looks like CJ has started this clothing company called Glitch. And it looked like it was created, he's using the word glitch as a way to kind of address like disabilities and stuff like that, but put like a really positive spin on it for himself and other kids. And I want to say in the picture that I saw, homie, I think he's missing like half of his arm or something like that. But it was still pretty cool because he's just a young guy. So you're talking about, just a young, like, man, he's like 10, 11 years old. Not like a teenager or nothing, but still in the young stages. And he's out here trying to pave the way for people who are in a similar state as him. Because I know there's a lot of times where we just don't represent everybody as well as we probably should. So I think it's pretty dope that we had a young guy out here, like I said, created a whole clothing company. It's called Glitch. So on our Tuesday show, we're gonna give a little bit of time to shout out this young man a little bit further. I just wanted to make sure I said something about it today because I saw it today, but I'm gonna do some investigating on him and his young company, and then we're gonna talk about it. And we're gonna praise this young guy. It's always good to see these young, especially young black kids. It's always good to see them, paving the way and doing things that other people aren't doing, because I ain't gonna lie to you, fam. Every day they wake up, they're exceeding expectations. Just based on what people seem to want for us and expect from us. Any day that we have these kids and they're waking up, they're going to school and they're learning stuff, and what they're learning, they're applying those skills and techniques, and they're building, man, they are killing it. They're exceeding expectations. They deserve to be praised because there are so many people who are hoping that they fail in life. So I think it's important to shed light on these young students. And it's kind of one of those things where it still gives you hope in humanity. And you realize that there are people out there that still care. I mean, shit, man. And we need the young ones to care. And we need them to be around people who care, so they'll continue to spread that. And then we want to try to breed less assholes, the better. That's all I'll say about that. But shout out to young CJ, man. He's killing it. I wish I could create a clothing company or something like that. I mean, I probably could, but I don't feel like it would be very cool. Like, I probably wouldn't wear that shit. And I thought about, like, if I started a company, what would it be called? I could not come up with any names. All the names that I came up with, like I said, it was all stuff that if I ever saw it on a shirt or like a sweater or a pair of pants or something, I'd be like, this is garbage. I don't know why people wear this type of stuff. So it's not something that I would wear, but one of my hopes for 2020 is to find a way where I can start a line of shirts. And maybe just put some of my famous catchphrases on the front. So pretty much in 2020, I'm going to do what people have been doing since the dawn of t-shirts. I'm going to be boring as hell and be a follower, but I want to just create a couple of t-shirts that I can just wear on the show. And I don't know what it's going to be called, so stay tuned. You never know. I might come up with some good ideas, but my face will be on some of these shirts, and no, they will not be RIP shirts, so don't even try it. We're gonna come up with something good, man. 2020. I'm creating a clothing company because I just want to do that. There's nothing else to do. I'm gonna do that. Also, I might start a bakery. I was thinking about that the other day. Just so I can always have brownies and oatmeal raisin cookies just on deck. It's tough because those are some of my favorite treats, but it's like you always got to go to the store to have that available. And I'm like, I'm tired of going to the store. Why not just open up a bakery? So that's on tap. If anybody has any advice for me on how to have a successful bakery / clothing store, I'm talking about all in one. So you come in, you get a few brownies, some cookies, and you buy a t-shirt. I feel like this is a great business model. Anybody want to go in with me on that? Let me know, man. DM me. It's going to be lit. But anyway, man, we're through the first 30 minutes of the first show of the year. I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. 2020 is going to be a good year, not only for this show, but for me, for my friends, for my family, and hopefully for you and yours. So stay tuned. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back after the music. Let's see who we got up next playing. We got some... I already had Jay-Z. Man, I don't know. Let's play. We might have some Donnie Klang might play, but we're gonna play that and then some other songs, so maybe some Wale, some Chris Brown. But after that, we'll be right back, man. Thank you for tuning in. It's the Meaningful Jackson Show. It's lit. I don't know what's happening with the music, man. It says that it's playing a song that I didn't even have queued up. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know, but either way, man, 2020. This is how it's gonna be. Uh, oh man. Anyway, beginning of the year, I feel like one of the things that I've noticed, it feels like it's more annoying this year than in past years. And maybe it's because I've just been having multiple conversations with people and they've been telling me how bad they hate some of the shit. But people and their New Year's resolution, like goals or whatever, and the fact that they announce it. And we get it. There's a lot of people who are wanting to make change and they're, wanting to improve their lives. And I think that's fantastic. You should want to improve your life day to day, week to week, year to year, whatever. But to constantly talk about it and then not really do anything, and I feel like we all know people that do that. Oh, I'm doing this year, and this is going to be lit. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then they end up not really doing anything. And then we're left wondering, why get online and continue to say that you're going to do all these things if you're not actually doing them? What's the point? So for me, I don't do any New Year's resolutions. I mean, I have my goals that I set and things that I want to accomplish throughout the year, but it's not something that I'm going to get online anymore to be like, I'm going to do this. And then by like the fifth or sixth day, you've already abandoned it. I have not been to the gym yet in 2020. I mean, I went and played basketball yesterday, but I haven't actually gone to work out. I did see a lot of new people at the gym that I hoop at yesterday, so you could tell people are right on top of it, man. They're, first day of the year they wanted to get in the workout, so I'm sure the second day has been more of the same. So I'm eager to see what the gym is going to look like tomorrow, because I know that's usually one of the biggest ones that people try to, biggest changes that people try to make year over year is that they want to try to get into a strong, like, exercise routine. And you can tell that most people, they really only can go for about a week or 2 weeks. And then, for whatever reason, they either get burnt out or like, there's just so many things that come up. You just don't have time, whatever the case may be. But I'm eager to see all the people who are going to be in that space tomorrow. And I guarantee you it's going to be a pain in the ass because you're going to have all these people who are not regulars at the gym. They're all just the new people who are trying to figure it out. And they want to learn about this machine, learn about that machine. Like, it's going to be awful. But I hope that some of y'all, if you set up goals and these little resolution things, I hope you actually stick with it and don't, just call it quits after a week or two. Stay strong, man. I don't know, man. I don't have like any great advice, man. I just know there's just so many people who are posting about all these resolutions. And I'm like, man, some of you, I know who you actually are. And I know that you say that you're going to do these things and you do not do them. So best of luck to you all. That's all I got to say about that. Man, let's see. What stories do we have on tap for the day? Yeah, we already talked about nothing funnier than talking about the groom that played like a sex tape video of the girl that he married at the wedding reception. Yeah, I talked about that on Tuesday. How funny was that? So funny. And then we had, what was the other story that was the most funny? You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to recap some of the funniest highlights from the year. Let's see. The corrections officer giving birth to the inmate's baby. That was hilarious. What is going on, man? It's like playing songs that I had not even queued up. Must be like on shuffle or something. But either way, it's not doing the right thing. I'm not impressed by that at all. But anyway, let's see. What else was really funny? The Jacquees thing. Oh my gosh. Now it's 2020. Jacquees is planning to remix everything. I hope he does not do that. Please, God, please, Jacquees, do not remix songs. You're not a great R&B singer. You're definitely not the king. You're just an average guy. Just make your own content. Get people to like you for you, not for doing other people's records. Oh, man. Been here communicating with people via text and also trying to do this. Sorry, I get super distracted. But yeah, Jacquees, please no singing. Let's see. What was another funny one? The lady who was a Christian who got fired from her job for not wanting to work Sundays and then ended up winning that lawsuit money. That was hella funny too. Shout out to you, lady, for getting that bag. Man, let's see. Like the Sonic, and yeah, remember when I talked about the Sonic employee who ended up having to do jail time because she was lacing kids' meals? Yo, people are wild, man. It's just some of the crazy stuff that happened in 2019. And I'm sure 2020 is going to be more of the same craziness. I mean, I have so many of these articles say they just pop up. It's like, bro, like I don't really do anything overly exciting. I stay my ass out of trouble. So it's crazy, but it's also amazing that all this stuff just happens on a daily basis. There's so many people on this planet that there are so many chances and opportunities for dumb shit to happen, funny shit, serious shit, crazy shit, all kinds of shit. So it's dope that now we have this, we have an opportunity to talk about it because some of these people have to be talked about. The next story we are going to talk about is we're going to talk about these goofballs. And I actually got a couple of these stories, man. We got police officers that I hope people start to recognize, like when we're talking about police reform. Let me rephrase this. I think some people want to include when they talk about police reform. A lot of it is just simple removal of people who are assholes. It's not necessarily going in and trying to, obviously there is something to be said about changing policy and procedure, whatever have you. But, it's not like we're trying to change what cops do and what they stand for or anything like that. It's just like these little stupid ass behaviors and things that we don't, it's like we don't condone certain things. We got to put a stop to them. And that's how we start to reform a lot of this. And some of it starts with, like, if you see a group of people posing in a photo and they're doing like the Nazi thing, like it's probably in your best interest to fire all these people. Like these are not the people that we want working the streets because obviously their moral compass is a bit off. So little things like that, I think those are important. So we're gonna dive in to talking about this class of officers who was fired for doing some bullshit like that. Yo, man. Welcome back. Yo, I'm not sure what's going on, man. My music queue is not even playing the songs that I have queued up. It started playing a bunch of random bullshit. Not bullshit, man. It's good music from, good artists, but just not stuff that I was planning to play on the show. So sorry about that. We'll work on the music technical difficulties, but hey, it wouldn't be a good show without a little bit of mistakes being made or some mishaps, whatever have you. So, thank you for tuning in, man. We are live on Track Talk Radio. This is the Meaningful Jackson Show. It is Thursday, January 2nd, 2020, not 19. I almost want to say 19 still. I know that's gonna be stuck with me probably until March. I probably won't realize that it's actually 2020 until probably about March when I actually get comfortable saying it, writing it, all of those things. It just takes me a little bit longer than it probably does most people. But before we came back from the break, I was talking about how some of the stories we're going over today, and one of them I was just kind of speaking just lightly on, some of the little things that fall underneath the umbrella of police reform. And I think when you see a photo And it's not even police, it's law enforcement. So any type of law enforcement, there's a lot of behavior and things that happen within these roles that were, I think as people were hoping will change. And a lot of it is just because some of these people have an unbalanced moral compass. That's where I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna call them names, cuss them out, or do nothing like that. I'm just gonna say their moral compass is a bit off. Some of these people is really off. But we have this article that I saw where it said an entire class of new corrections officers have been fired for doing a Nazi salute during a photo opportunity. And you're talking, I mean, when I'm just counting this, there's gotta be 20, 25 guys in a photo, and they're all doing the little symbol or whatever this is. So this is and this is crazy because this is in West Virginia. So it says West Virginia Governor Jim Justice fired close to 30 correctional officer trainees who posed with a Nazi salute for a class photo. Jesus Christ, man. And you know what's crazy is, like, you guys are all trainees. Like, you haven't even started the job yet. And somehow you were convinced that, like, look, my brothers are going to do this. So I'm going to do the same thing, and we're all going to be awesome. And then we're going to go start our careers. And then somebody else had another idea for you. Now you probably will be hard for you to get a job. You will probably get a job somewhere, but it's not going to be in the state of West Virginia. It probably won't be anywhere close to that region. You're going to have to move across the state. And you got to understand that when people start to do their background homework on you and they find out that you were one of the people in this photo, they're probably not going to want to hire you for a role in which you have to protect other people. Nothing about Nazis screams protection of people in any type of way. We all know that. So the fact that these young, I don't know if there's women, but I'll say these young men, these young trainees, these young cadets, like the fact that they would do this, and honestly, man, like how are you in this day and age, especially with social media and all these things, we go over this shit almost every single week when we have one of these stories, but it's like, are you not thinking that somebody's going to see this and want to say something to you about it? Or are you just thinking that this type of behavior is going to just go unnoticed? You guys are in a photo. It's a graduating class photo for the academy. And you guys all do this salute thing? This is crazy, man. I guess this is a class of 18. So this has been a couple years. So in a statement, he said that this act needed a result in real consequences, terminations, and dismissals. I'm a little shocked that it took you so long to do that, though. The photo was discovered in early December, showed the members of the West Virginia Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation Basic Training Class 2018 with one arm raised. The text above read, "Hail Bird," whatever that is, an alleged reference to a training instructor for the class, according to the State Department of Military Affairs and Public Safety. Jesus, man. So, as a result of the flick, 3 staff members at the training academy will also be fired. Additionally, 4 other instructors, who failed to report the photograph will be suspended without pay. See, man, look, man, y'all are messing up your money, you're losing jobs, you're hurting your families, all because you're letting people be stupid for a photo op. Like, it is crazy with the way our world works now, where people literally, and this is stuff that people probably have been doing since the dawn of time with little to no consequence. And now, because we're in the age of the internet and how things get passed around and shared, and then people start to point the finger at people and heads have to roll immediately because no one wants to be associated with some bullshit like this. Like, when people see this stuff, it does not matter what your reasoning, what your excuse, they want you canceled immediately. So, man, these 30 officers, man, listen, you played yourself, man. There's no way in hell anybody should feel bad for any of these dudes. There's no reason for you to be doing any type of symbols or salutes or anything that is pro-Nazi or, pro-violence. You're literally in a job where you're swearing yourself in as someone who's going to protect and serve. Do you think the Nazis protected or served anybody? No. They did not do that. They did not protect anybody. So when you do that, you do whatever the little symbol is. They said this is an arm up. I don't know what that means. But when you do your little stupid ass little Nazi symbol, like fam, people are gonna see it, and it's in a photograph. They took a photo. It means they saved the photo, and other people saw it. Like, y'all really thought y'all was gonna get away with that? Did you just think that every single person standing in the room with you was pro-Nazi? You have to know that there are people, even if they are pro-Nazi, the person who probably turns y'all in is probably pro-Nazi. But hey, if they can turn you in and help themselves elevate their careers, why wouldn't they? Come on, man. Y'all got to be smarter than that, because you got to know people are watching. Even if y'all really feel like that, bro, you got to keep that shit to yourself. Because the minute that people find out about that, you're not going to be able to be trusted by the general public. Because who out here is really fucking with Nazis? Nobody. Nazis are fucking garbage. Just like these people in this picture. This is crazy. It even says that this is a statement. Let's see. Or I guess Jeff Sandy is cabinet secretary for the Department of Military Affairs and Public Safety. And he was the one who recommended that the cadets be fired. So it says that in a letter that he wrote to the governor that some of the cadets were aware of the connotations associated with the gesture, that they were uncomfortable with the practice, and or that they only followed what they perceived to be in order because they feared they wouldn't graduate. I don't know if I believe that. I'm gonna say like this. For me personally, like I'm somebody that, like, if you want me to be in a picture, that's fine. But you're not going, unless it's a photo shoot and it's for something specific, like, hey, we want to shoot something so we can put it on the cover or something. Okay, fine. You can tell me how to stand, how to act, how my face should be, whatever. But if it's just like hey, we're graduating, like, I'm just gonna stand there. If everybody does a pose, I'm not doing that with people. I will be in the photo, but I'm not going to just do what other people tell me to do in a photo. If you really have these people who were talking about, well, we thought we weren't going to graduate if we didn't do no, you got caught. You feel stupid and you're trying to grab onto every excuse possible. One of those excuses is that you felt like you were in fear. And then you thought, oh, well, if I don't do this, I'm not going to graduate. Come on, fam. By the time you've already taken this picture, you probably already had graduated. You think if you don't put your hand up in some show of support of Nazis, that you think that they're not going to let you graduate? Like, oh, now you're not one of us, fam. You already went through the whole program. Like, come on. I mean, maybe there's a chance that that's true. But what's the likelihood of that happening? Come on. Everybody in that photo knew what they were doing. They all know. You know that that's not right. Come on. Fear of not graduating. Get the fuck out of here. And it's just also another one of those things where, I'm sorry, I feel like we say this every week on this show. It's another one of those things where, unfortunately, you see white people, they make these bad decisions. I mean, it's not even white people, it's all people. People make these bad decisions. They do something very stupid, and then the excuses after the fact are so paper thin. All of it. Well, I didn't understand, or I didn't know, or I didn't think that this was gonna happen. But come on. Deep down, you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen if you show up to the Lakers game with your ass out. You know what's gonna happen if you're in a photo doing a Nazi salute. You know what's gonna happen if you remix a song and you're a terrible R&B singer. Come on. People on the internet are gonna find that, and they're gonna find a way to destroy you. It is what it is. No one appreciates all the three things that I named. No one appreciates any of those things. And maybe to some people, they're equally as bad. I don't know. No, I'm not going to say, that's a joke. Don't take that so serious. I'm not going to say that Lizzo having her ass out is the same as people doing the Nazi symbol. That's obviously not the case. Or that they're equally as bad. That's not the case. The Jacquees singing, maybe. But Lizzo thing, not that bad. But either way, to pretend as if you don't know that there will be consequences for your actions, to play the role of like the naive victim who had no idea and only did it because everyone else did it or because they were afraid. That's such a you learn as a little kid that that's a tired ass excuse. What are the things that parents say? Well, if your friends jump off of a bridge, are you gonna do it too? And we all go, well, no. I mean, some kids are punks and they go, yeah, even though they know. But your parents mean just because other people are doing it. If you know that it's wrong, why would you do it? You have your own brain. Think for yourself. If you went out for that job, you went through basic training, you did and met all the requirements and needed in order for you to get the job, and they really finessed you out of it because you didn't do some type of salute during a photo op, fam, I assure you, that's not the job for you if that happens. And that's okay. That's not your path. But don't try to sit there and try to be like, well, I need the job so bad that I had to do this in order to be accepted. No, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. And you don't have to do anything that you know is not right. That doesn't make any sense. So all the excuses, all that shit, that's tired to me, bro. I don't even want to hear that shit. Talking about they had no idea. Come on. You had an idea. It's crazy. I see this other one where it's another story about cops just making bad decisions. This one is a little more on the funny side, but I think and I'm only saying it's funny because of like, if this is the time and effort that you went into creating a gag gift, like with, for a coworker, I think this is just ridiculous. But this thing pops up on my feed and it says police officers used cardboard signs taken from homeless people as a gag gift for their supervisor. And essentially what they did, and this is coming straight out of Mobile, Alabama. So I'll say Mobile, Alabama is probably about 50 minutes from Pensacola, which is where I lived for a big part of my life. Mobile, Alabama it's garbage, fam. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. It's garbage, fam. That's it. It's Alabama. That's enough right there. I'm sorry. Anybody that I know I'm cool, if I have a relationship with, if you're from the state of Alabama, I'm sorry. But listen, you're not married to the state that you grew up in or lived in for any type of time. It's okay for me to say that the state that you lived in is garbage. That doesn't mean that you were garbage. But there are people like this who are pretty garbage. These officers I'm about to talk about, they're garbage. It looks like they've collected signs from homeless people and have taped them all together to create some type of, what I thought when I first saw what I thought of, I was like, this is how like when people take t-shirts and like they make quilts or something like that, and like, it's like that's what this is. They literally took a bunch of signs that homeless people have made when they're out there struggling on the corner, asking for money, doing whatever it is they're doing. These police had collected them. They saved up, it looks like there's probably like 20 of them maybe. They saved them up and then they taped them all together, and then they posed for it for pictures with it. This is another one of these things where it's like, fam, come on. Look at your job. Look at your role. Look at what you do. Why are you doing this? Is this what taxpayers are paying for? And I'm normally somebody that hates when people try to use that as, well, I pay your salary. Like, no one gives a shit about that. Now, everybody goofs off at their job. We get it. But, like, come on, guys. Y'all have nothing better to do than to collect signs from homeless people and then tape them together and give them as a gift to your supervisor? Now, let's read it, man. Oh, there ain't even a long article about it. I don't have their names or nothing. But anyway, and the weird thing is, I like that the person that posted this, one of the things they highlighted was that you have people who are essentially, and I know we all kind of do it in a sense. Like we all make fun of people for things, and we all make fun of, the fact that there are some people that struggle with a lot of different things. It's It's a part of our lives. It's just what people do. It's all around us at all times, whatever. But I think it is tough when you see people who outright kind of like demean and make fun of people who are in a state of constant struggle. So when you look at like the status of homeless people and like what an epidemic that is across our country and our world, like just everywhere. And then when you have people who are doing this, like come on, you guys are fortunate and you're blessed to wake up every day. You know, you probably have families, you have food, you have a job, you're earning money, but you're literally in pictures while you're earning your money and you're taking photos, making fun of people who are struggling and don't have food, money, shelter, all of that. Even as somebody who makes a lot of jokes and cracks on people, roasts on people, that's a tough thing to look at, because one thing I would never want to do would be to go out of my way to spend time trying, and maybe you talk to these guys, they're probably like, well, no, our intent is not to make fun of these people, but you know, we bring them in on whatever they get brought in for, and they have these signs, they don't leave with the same sign, so we take them, you know, rather, I mean, you could trash them and recycle the cardboard or whatever, but rather than do that, you keep it and then you use it for this. Like, it probably to some people is like harmless fun. I get it. We've all been there. We've all done stupid shit. But this is one of those things where I think even if you're going to give it as a gift, or you want to be stupid and try to be funny for your boss or for your supervisor, don't take a picture of it for it to end up on the internet. That doesn't seem like a wise decision. That's just my opinion. But either way, man, like, seeing things like that, it's one of the reasons why you see and hear a lot of people are not happy with law enforcement and officers and things like that. And, you know, they're tired. They want different. And it's because of shit like that. I mean, there's worse stuff, obviously, killing of innocent people, unarmed people, you know, abuse of power, all that bullshit. I mean, it's not, people are not now just going to riot because you have a bunch of cops who, you know, took these cardboard signs and taped them all together as like a gift or whatever the case that they did. But it's just another one of those things where you see why people kind of hate law enforcement to some degree, and why we're all screaming for change. Because some of these people don't even take their jobs seriously, man. Like, come on. Shit is crazy. Man. Man, you know what's crazy? I'm in the middle of talking to a bunch of people. And one of the people I'm talking to is the person who helps me manage this show. And she's messaging me right now asking why we not friends on Facebook. Fam, this is not the time for that. Don't nobody care about that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of people who say that I'm not friends with them on the internet, but I'm like, I see y'all online every day. I don't know who I'm friends with and who I'm not friends with. I don't care about that. But add me if there's room. I think every time I go to look at my thing to add new people, it says I'm at capacity. So my next topic is just about how janky Facebook is. Why is Facebook trying to limit the amount of friends one person can have? Like, I know that in real life, no, I don't know 5,000 people personally. I don't know intimate details about 5,000 people on my page. But why does it have to stop at 5,000? Especially if, like, I have a business account. My page is a joke page, comedy page. It's for the show. And now I'm capped out at 5,000. How are we supposed to get anything done? These same dusty ass 5,000 people who don't be liking, commenting, and sharing my shit, bro. Like, we need a new 5,000 worth of people. Because one thing we're not doing in 2020 is settling for unsupported friends and family. That's everybody. There's people that I spend intimate time with and walk around with daily who don't even share my show or really support me. Hurts my heart. But you know what? I ain't gonna lie to you, fam. I don't even know if they really even be listening to it or even remember if I have a show. Maybe they thought I was just gonna be like a one-time deal. I'm like, no, fam, I'm on here every freaking week. We're here every week. But no, there's no room for people who are gonna be unsupportive. Everybody has to go. Steph, I'm just messing with you about the the Facebook thing. I know she's listening to this, so I'm just giving her a hard time. But shout out to Steph managing the show, out there finding a co-host, man. There is one more opening. We're looking for a female host to work with myself, obviously the main host of the show, not main host, one of the hosts of the show, and then I'm not announcing the name because, like I said, I'm not going to do that until we have the other person. But there will be another gentleman on the show too. And then our third person is going to be a female. So we're looking for someone who would like to be involved in, this is the beginning stages of greatness. And we really want somebody who's going to bring, fresh outlook to things, bring some sass, some attitude, who's not going to be afraid to cuss us out. Mainly me, because I do most of the talking, and I'm going to be the most annoying person on the show because that's just the role I play in life. So I'm going to play that same role on the show. But we're looking for somebody who's wanting to come on here and show their ass a little bit. Not literally, but just be wild and be themselves. Like, I know there are a few people who have reached out to me. And the only reason I haven't said anything back to you is because I don't know how serious that some of you are. This is a very big deal to me. So I want to make it very clear that the person that I choose to do this show with me, they have to be willing to commit. This is not we're not doing sick days or none of that shit in the beginning stages, because it's all about getting reps in and getting shows under the belt so that way we can turn this thing into something. So that's why I still did shows during the holidays, and I will always and forever do that. I'm not, until we start getting 8, 9, 10 million a year, which will probably never happen. There is no need to take time off and vacation from this shit. This shit is too fun. So the people that we're adding, man, we want to make sure that they're ready to commit and be a part of greatness. So good looking out, Steph. Thanks for getting that information out. Hopefully we're able to find somebody that's gonna rock this shit and help carry it on the days when I'm not doing so great, that's often, fam. No, it's not often. It's hardly ever. I'm maybe 1 out of every 15. I have a rough night. But for the most part, I can come in, even if it's off the bench, I can come in, I can light that shit up. We get the W, go home. That's what I'm built for. I'm built for the starting role. I'm built for the off the bench role. I can do it all, but I'm gonna get buckets. I'm like the Lou Williams of radio right now, because I'm that good. Even in limited time, I'm that good. So we need somebody that can complement that shit, man. So reach out to me, and I'm gonna direct you to Steph, and then she'll let you know how we can begin the process of, and there's being interviews conducted. We're not just picking somebody based on you liked a whole bunch of my memes, or maybe you think that you're funny. No, this is gonna be like a sit down and a talk, and outlining what our plan is and seeing how you fit within the plan. It's gonna be a whole thing. So the same way you interview for jobs, you will interview to be on this show. And I don't have a problem announcing it on the show that we're looking for people, because like I said, that's been one of our goals. And so why not use the platform to advertise for a position? I don't think that's bad at all. There's a lot of you out there that are super funny too, and also provide good feedback during, strong, heated, debateful conversation. So that's the type of person that we want. Those are the type of people we want to surround ourselves with and have conversations with, the people who are not going to get offended, not going to get their feelings hurt, and aren't afraid to battle a little bit, because it happens, man. But it doesn't have to be drama or beef. It is none of that. We just want to have spirited debates and, enjoy our time, laugh, cut up, be stupid, be goofy, tell stories, and not be afraid. That's the other thing. I don't want someone who's going to be on here who's going to be afraid to actually speak how they feel and, be afraid to be a little bit vulnerable. It happens, bro. It ain't gonna be the end of the world. So reach out if you're interested, man. I'll let you know what's cracking. Let's see. So one thing I am gonna dive into, I noticed that this gentleman he made a post today. Let me see if I can find it, because it was one of those ones where from time to time people will post stuff and I'll repost it and I'll just put the word thoughts and I'll add a little question mark, just because I want to see what people think about what other people have to say. So I gotta find it. It's kind of intense, and I'm gonna read it, but I want to make sure I'm gonna read kind of the edited version, only because one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to I want to try to keep it on topic. And so when I read what this gentleman wrote from the jump, I was like, okay, the first, most of it is, it's like really, it's good stuff. But there's some things on there where like, man, he's like, cussing these people out, doing whatever it is he's doing. So like, I don't want to get into all that and read that shit. And then people, not see what the actual point was that he was trying to convey. Because that was some of the comments that I saw. People were like, oh, well, he's just spazzing. He seems bitter, seems, like he's all in his feelings. And I'm like, man, I didn't feel like it was like that. So here it is. I found it. It took me forever. So it says, let's see. It says, remember, fellas, if she's screaming F niggas or men on here, and I'm assuming here means Facebook, like, that means that should also include you, your time, your attention, your money, and support. Stop rewarding these miserable, undeveloped females for exhibition of bad behavior. Let her angry ass wallow amongst her cohorts, enabling her solo lifestyle. And there's, then there's a part where, it says, let her, F tricks and lay up with sugar daddies and scream about getting to that bag like life is only about money. She's empty, and this, so some, like I said, some of this, I'm not faulting my man for, typing out his opinion. I think it's great. Go in, my man. Do what you got to do. I'm going to give you my thoughts, but this is the part where I kind of was like getting a little bit lost. But it says she's empty and needs to see a psychiatrist, not to be effing with you, dumping her unrealistic views of what you should be. So even though the part about the psychiatrist is, it's whatever, but I think that next part, man, that's some of what I'd be screaming when I talk to people about like relationships, and how a lot of people, they get involved with other people in hopes that they can change that person into being like their ideal type of partner. And they place unrealistic expectations on people and then get mad when their expectations are not met. Says it's not your job to be all things to anyone. Her past has nothing to do with you, and if she's not held from it, don't fuck with her. Or healed. I guess it's healed. I'm sorry. If she's not healed from it, don't F with her. So it's a lot to take in, and this is one of those ones where I just put, what are people's thoughts? I told my man that I was going to talk about this on the show tonight, because although, like I said, some of what he typed was, I don't know, it's just his thought process, his opinion. I'm not going to say that I disagree with it. I may not have put a lot of, the language on it, but I think for the most part, what he was saying is fairly accurate. There's a lot of people on here, and it's mostly females commenting, saying that they agreed with it, which I thought was interesting, because usually with posts like this, you see people that will just pop up and then they just start going crazy, and they're like, oh, look at you. And even him and I were having a conversation. He was like, yo, man, I'm just waiting for them to come out and talk about how bitter I am and this and that. And it's like, yeah, because when you post these things, that's what people tend to do. They get caught up in their feelings and they don't really read the information. I think there is something to be said about, there's a lot of people that I see on my page where you see people who are saying that they're expecting and hoping to get certain things from a relationship with people. They want to be cared about. They want love and support. They want all the basic things, right? Right. But there's also a lot of these other things that they want. And sometimes there is perception that a lot of females, they want the guy who has the degree, owns a home, owns multiple cars, and has a fat bank account. And then they try to say stuff like, well, if you don't have that and you can't match my effort, then you're not someone that I can talk to. The weird thing is that a lot of these girls, like, it's not like they have any of that stuff to match. It's just what they want, because they don't want the guy who doesn't have it, because you would rather have than have not. So I get that, but like, why announce that stuff? And why make it seem as though you would never be willing to mess with someone who didn't have it, while you also do not have any of those things? That's an unrealistic expectation, excuse me. You see, there's so many guys that like go out of their way to beg, not beg, I don't want to say beg. On the internet, it looks like begging for some of these guys, but you see a lot of these guys, they really shoot their shot for a lot of girls. And a lot of the girls they shoot their shot for happen to be some of the women that are described in this post. I do think that it goes both ways, though, because you can say the same thing about men. There are a lot of men who get on, and I see it on my Facebook all the time. There's guys on my timeline who are like, this girl's this, and these bitches this, and da-da-da-da-da, fuck this, and da, and it's like, bro, you sound sad. You also sound like you have crazy expectations for what you're hoping to gain from a partner, and those expectations are not being met, so you seem upset. It happens. It's how people get. But when I read this post this morning, it immediately clicked with me because, and I'm not going to say their names because I do not want to do that, especially not for this. But there are a lot of girls that follow my page, and I see them post stuff like this once a week where they're basically saying how guys aren't shit and we're this and we're that, and like they're upset and they're bitter and they try to give out relationship advice, and they're the type that are making these posts where they're talking about ladies, you know, in 2020 we're not messing with any of these dudes, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. And it's just like, fam, some of you are so tired because even though you're online and you're promoting that type of stuff, you're not even really living that lifestyle. You're probably laid up with a bum while you're typing that. You're probably getting your back blown out by a nigga who's on parole and has no freaking job. At the same time, you're posting about how, as a female, you only deserve a guy who has a 6-figure bank account, you know, their own home and multiple vehicles, and has a great relationship with their mother, can cook, very family oriented. You want all of these things, but literally you go home at night, you're laid up with a freaking crackhead. Like, come on, man. That shit is stupid. And it makes a lot of you look hella bad, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm just not really a fan of, like, seeing those posts. And then when you try to say something to any of them, then they want to try to, like, take shots at you. They get hella defensive. So that's why, for me, sometimes I just put thoughts on these posts. I just want to see what people say. But I was very shocked at the amount of women who were like, I think that this is facts, based on what he said. And there were some people who were like, you know, I think a lot of like the name calling within the post. There were people who were saying that the name calling within the post maybe wasn't warranted, and it's not like, you know, that part could have been left off there. But for the most part, everything he said like really had some weight to it, and I wasn't surprised about that. Like I said, shout out to my man who made the post, but was not surprised about, you know, the content of it being something that was actually accepted by people. I think it was more so the fact that, at least when I reposted it, you didn't have girls jumping on there being like, F that, F this, and that's what we're talking about, this sorry ass dude. Like, it was none of that. And so that right there kind of tells you all you need to know. And in the age that we live in, there are a lot of people who are doing that. And you people who are doing those things and making those posts talking about how shitty people are, and you're levying your own expectations against them in relationships, and you're trying to like almost make people feel bad for, you know, not being up to what you deem as par. Like, people see you and they see those posts, and like, yeah, if you're wondering why you're on your solo shit, it probably is not all based on choice. A lot of it is because of the fact that some of you are just kind of crappy when it comes to relationships after you start to get mad when people are just not meeting your every need. And it's because you have unrealistic expectations of what a partner should be to you. Not one person has the capacity to be solely responsible for another person's happiness in full. You can't do it. You can help to make sure that, you know, a person like keeps a smile on their face by telling jokes, or, you know, you can do things to make them feel better, or whatever the case may be. But like, I can't wake up every day and be like, all right, here I go. I gotta turn on for this person and make sure that I'm like doing everything I can to constantly make them happy in the moment and meet every single need that they have. Like, nobody's built for that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just not real. And I think that some people, like, they get in relationships because there are pieces of their life that are just not the way that they want them to be. They're not intact. And so I think they think that a relationship will save that for them. And then when it doesn't, then they get mad and they want to like cuss these people out and talk about how they're this and they're that and they're not doing this and not doing that. And it's like, fam, it really ain't them. It's probably just you. And that's coming from somebody who's, beginning to recognize his own struggles within relationships. That shit just ain't for me, man. Just struggle with it. I don't do a good job of making people happy. I think outside of being funny, I think, I'm someone who is very difficult to deal with. I think I anger people a lot because I'm not somebody that always just wants to do what other people want to do. I think I speak my mind a little too much. And sometimes I think I overstep boundaries by doing that. One thing that I'm also not is I'm not a very patient person. Man, that's one of my biggest goals every year is to become more patient. Shoot, we're on the second day of the year. I was already having struggles meeting that resolution today, having to wait an hour and a half for the freaking storage guy to show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was open at 9:30. Buddy didn't show up until freaking 11:30. My appointment was at 10. I'm like, man, I was waiting there for mad long. No one came. That's the ultimate test of patience for me. I end up getting frustrated. Like, this is something I'm just not good at. And so, I started having to recognize within myself that, like, when you're involved in relationships, like, a lot of times I've been screaming, like, well, people aren't meeting my standards, and, it's this and it's that, and why can't people just do this or just do that? And a lot of it is just like, fam, it's just you. Your expectations are probably just outrageous. Or maybe they're not outrageous, but maybe the person that you're with just is not capable of meeting those expectations and or standards. I mean, and it happens. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be on some fuck you type of shit. But I think, like, if you opt to not have a conversation about it, you're always going to be frustrated if you don't address it. But you also, when you do address it and you bring those things to light, you have to be willing to look at yourself, and you should ask yourself, am I being too demanding? Are the things that I'm expecting from other people, are those things reasonable? And are they within reach? And also, am I willing to do a lot of the same things that I am asking of another person? Am I willing to do those things for that person? Most of the time, people are not. Or they say that they are, but then, like, they really put forth no effort because they're so focused on making sure that, their feelings are, being considered, being maintained, being looked out for. I think sometimes they don't always care about, the way that their partner might feel. I don't know, man. The post, shout out to my man. I don't want to mispronounce his name. I think it's Jezidin, last name Fate, Jezidin Fate. I don't know, man. I saw this post at like 5 o'clock this morning or whenever he had posted it. And even on his page, even that early, people were starting to get a little bit in their feelings. So, hey, man, you were able to provoke thought, my guy. He is somebody that I plan to have on this show as a guest because I think it would be cool for him to elaborate on his thought. And I might even save this. I let him know that we weren't going to start having guests on the show until after episode 25. So, don't worry, my guy. I'm going to have my people reach out to you. We're going to set up a time to get you on the show, homie, because I know you were saying how you wanted to be on here to talk about this stuff, because he was like, he must have been fired up. Somebody pissed him off. Either that or he just got tired of seeing or hearing somebody complain. So we're going to have him on the show so he can kind of elaborate on his thought a little bit. I just was kind of ranting and rumbling, but for me, what he posted, man, just off of his post, my mind went so many different directions in regards to like how some of this stuff makes me feel, and based on conversations I've had with other people in the past about it. And because everybody reacts to it differently. Like, I'm not going to say that I think if a girl has, unrealistic expectations, that means like she's a miserable person, or, I'm not always just thinking like that, because I try not to think, too negatively. I try to just like meet people where they're at and just understand that there are some people who have specific standards. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You want to be treated a certain way, you need to specify that. But I think there is something to be said for the people who want these, there's not special, they feel like they should get this type of treatment as standard, but when they don't get it, the way they react to people is very unfavorably. So My thing is, if you're gonna go out of your way to disrespect someone because you feel like your needs are not being met, you maybe shouldn't be surprised when things aren't going your way if you're just, being a dick about it. Like, it's gonna happen. You have to communicate how you feel, and you have to give people their opportunity to make their choices. You might have these crazy expectations, and you just need to talk to the person about them, and you need to see if they are capable of meeting you where you're at. And if not, you got to just move on. But getting online and posting how like men or women in general aren't shit because they won't just do what you are telling them to do or asking them to do, something like that type of shit is corny. I would say if you're one of those people, you do come off as very miserable. And there's a couple of people on my page that I'm actually fans of. I think like a lot of their posts are funny, their memes are funny, their content is funny, but from time to time they get on and they start to man bash. I mean, and there's a couple of guys that do it too. Like I said, when you start to bash the other gender just because you're in your feelings, like, man, that shit just gets so tired, bro. Like, so tired. So it was funny that he brought that up this morning, so I wanted to make sure that I touched on that because I told him I would talk about it. But yo, my man, shout out to you. We're gonna have you on the show very soon. I promised it. Let's see. I think we're gonna take another break, man, but I don't know. The music is just off, so I'm about to give y'all some Let's See a Car might play, and I don't know what's gonna play after that because it's not playing the songs that I have in the queue. It's just doing all kinds of random shit. So we're gonna take a short break, and then we'll be right back, and then we're gonna get ready to close out the show. Oh, it is Thursday, so first show of the year for the Ryan Show as well, because they're on right after this. So shout out to the boys out in New York. They're gonna come on and they're gonna kill it. They're going to clean up the mess that I made, and then they're going to straighten up the room and get it all presentable and tidy, and they're going to give you guys a great show. So we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back with the Me Uncle Jackson Show. We are live on Track Talk Radio. Hey, man, every Tuesday, every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, man. It's lit. So enjoy the music. We'll be right back. Yeah, man, I'm not sure why it's not playing the songs in my queue. I don't know, man. Technical difficulties that I wish I was more computer savvy, but I'm not. I am not. But pretty soon, once we add more people to the show, and then we're gonna get somebody who's gonna sit and they're gonna be able to do this, and I'll be able to just sit in the chair and talk. I won't be responsible for all the key parts of the show, which is making sure that the right music is playing, making sure that the volume levels are adjusted, and all of that. I want to have somebody else be responsible for that, because when I touch that type of shit, sometimes it tends to malfunction and or break. It's probably user error. I get told that a lot. Like when something's not working, I'm like, yo, why does this shit work? And people look at me like, yo, fam, it's probably just you, because it works fine. And then after a few seconds, I tend to figure it out, because I'm not completely, I'm not full, what I'm trying to say, man. I'm a little slow. I'm not super slow. But it is what it is, man. There's just certain things that I just don't care to spend time learning. And even some of those things are, very simple things to learn, like how to work the computer, how to navigate the program. I probably should spend more time committing to memory all the functions and commands and all that type of stuff, but I just don't do it. So I want to find someone else to do that. But yeah, we got Let's See a Car playing, the record Outlaws. Man, her album, what is this album from? I think it's called Know It All. It's from like 2015. I still be telling people I think this was one of the hottest albums that I'd ever heard. This young lady, I think Drake was the one who signed her. She had her breakout hit was Here, I think. And I know she's had another album since that one. And it wasn't too bad. It was pretty good. It wasn't really the same as this first album that she had in 25, but her 2015, excuse me. When I say 25, what the fuck is 25? But in 2015 she had that album. But it was pretty good. and I'm still listening to it. So I'm glad that this popped up, but I have no idea what's about to get played next. And this is, I can't just skip the songs. We just gotta let it play. So it's like song roulette. But if the right thing don't pop up, fam, I'm just gonna stop it and then just go back to talking on the show. And then we'll figure out the music on the next episode because we only got about a half hour left. So we should be able to breeze through things pretty smoothly, hopefully. Um, ah. 2020, whoop whoop. Let's see, what changes am I making for 2020? Probably none. I'm probably gonna be the same old punk that I've been for the last 30 something years. I don't know, why not, right? Not too many changes really need to be made. I mean, I want to be a little bit taller than what I am, but I think I'm past the point of growing. My hair looks different, so that was a change for 2020. No more of the short haircut. My beard looks good. You know, let's see. I don't know, man. There's not a lot of things that I wanted to change. As I thought about the way my year went in 2019, a lot of my goals are always just like related to my attitude and wanting to change that and just be more patient with, in situations and with people, be better at relationship building, try to get out of the house more. I'm very much an introvert, so I don't want to become a complete extrovert, but I want to try to blend the two a little bit like I used to back in the day, because I used to be a little bit more willing to like get the party cracking and do things like that. But now I'm somebody that's like the party cracking is me going to bed at 8:30. So the only real change that I made to my bedtime in 2019 was on Tuesdays and Thursdays I do this show, and it's till 9. So I'm 30 minutes past my bedtime, and then depending on if my brain can shut down, it's like, yo, I get to bed late on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know if we can do another year of that. So what I had to start doing is I had to adjust my days every other day, because if I continue to go to sleep stupid early on all the other days, I'm going to feel gassed on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So little changes like that are coming, but for the most part, everything else is just gonna stay the same. It's just gonna be normal. But I'm gonna try to smile a little bit more. I know people always say, hey, you should smile more, and I'm always like, hey, shut the fuck up. But now I'm actually gonna do that shit, because you know what? Why the fuck not? There's no reason not to. I'm killing that life, man. Very blessed, very thankful. Thankful that we made it to 2020. Shit, I wasn't even supposed to be here. I had no expectation of living past 18 years old. I thought that for a long time. I made it to 18. I was like, oh shit, I'm lit. 18? Oh my God, I'm finna take over. And then I was like, shit, man, we'll be lucky if we make it to 21. Because I was living a rough life, making some bad decisions. Made it to 21, I'm like, okay. I'm legal now, drinking beers and shit in public. Okay. I hate beer. But then I was like, yo, 25, definitely not making it 25 because it's wild out here. I can't make it because I'm not doing the right thing. I was just expecting to just not be here, dead, jail, whatever the case may have been. There was not going to be making it past 25. Hit 25, I'm like, oh shit. Now I'm finna be in my prime. I'm going to be 25, I'm going to be lit. Still don't know shit, still making bad decisions. And I was like, yo, if I make it to 30, Jesus Christ, cheese and rice. And I did. Yo, they just started a song and then it cut to something different. Somebody controlling this from a remote location, and it just went into some J Beebs and Justin Bieber. I don't know why it's playing that. Oh, man. Yo, so I'm sorry, I gotta stop this, man, because I don't know what's cracking with the music, man. We're first show of 2020, man. I love it, man. We're having some malfunction. It literally started a song, and then it cut that song on its own and just went to start playing this Justin Bieber record, which is the only Justin Bieber record I've actually ever listened to or heard in full. And the beat is dope. The lyrics, the content, it's whatever. J B's was not that bad. I still think you're a cornball for, saying the N-word back in the day, and then, you know, coming out 12 years later trying to talk about how you want to take a stand and all this type of shit. And little boy, sit your ass down. But anyway, I got tired of the music being different. I was on here before we came back on. Oh, hey, Sherry, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you saying the show is dope. That big shout out to Sherry. Like I said, Sherry, good looking out for not canceling me yet. Not yet. Give me about 10, 15 more episodes, and then you can think about it. But I was talking about things that I'm changing in 2019. Or see, there I go. See how I almost said that shit? Things that I'm changing or doing differently in 2020. And you're probably thinking, oh man, he's probably gonna have a lot of stuff because this nigga's all fucked up. He gotta change everything. But I'm here to tell you I'm not changing shit. Mainly because my goals every year are about the same. I want to get better with being more patient. I want to get better at relationship building. And I want to be less of an introvert and just live more of my life in my outgoing and more personable version of myself. Which not many people have had the opportunity of seeing, because I'm just one of the humans that walk Earth that actually get frustrated and stressed out by other humans at a more consistent rate than most people. I hate it. I do not like being like that, but I'm just one of those people that the sight of other people just disgusts me, because I complain a lot. I'm a chronic complainer, but I hate hearing it. I hate hearing myself complain. So I don't even like being around myself half the time. Like, damn, this nigga's annoying. All he does is complain. When does the complaining stop? But humans are just, they're annoying, they're stressful, but they provide so much. People, I think, are amazing because they provide great conversation. They do amazing things. Like, there are pros and there are cons. And so it's tough because I try to do glass half full rather than glass half empty. But unfortunately for me, glass half empty usually kicks in when it's time to go out and, you know, be social. And so I usually end up just kind of staying to myself, staying inside. But that's probably the only thing I'm really changing for the year, is that I want to travel a little bit more and I need to get out of the house a little bit more. So, and we're going to start taking this mobile. At the end of the month, we're going to go to Portland and do a show. Because there are a couple of my friends out in Portland I think need to be on this podcast. And so what I probably will do is I'll probably do it on a weekend. We'll just record it and then we'll post a video. But the last weekend of the month, where I think like this January ends like on a Friday. I think it's like the 31st is on a Friday or something like that. Yeah, 31st is on a Friday. I think I'm going to come to Portland that Friday and that Saturday. And I'm going to reach out to my people, and then we're going to record a show. So I'm going to spend the month trying to track down a location, and I'm going to bring my equipment, and we're going to get it cracking, man. I think it's going to be dope because we want to have more interviews, more guest spots, like I said. And a lot of that means that I need to get out of the house and I need to go interact with people. The show won't be any bigger than this if I don't actually get out from behind the camera and go speak to the people. So for those of you who have been inviting me to stuff and you want me to pull up, 2020 is the year where I will accept and I will come, because that is the goal, is to be more outgoing and get back with the people. So it's lit, man. Portland at the end of the month, January 31st and February 1st, I will be in Portland recording shows. I will be coming back that Saturday night because I got to play basketball on Sunday, and that's more important than almost anything that I do because I love to hoop. So, but I will be in Portland on those days. We will record a show. I am going to do that because I have been saying that I wanted to do that, and it's 2020, so... Like I was saying, man, not a lot is changing for me. Primarily just, you know, attitude. I want to stop arguing with people. I feel like I argue too much. And maybe that's just the Leo in me, but I'm also the person that, like, I will always let people have their way because I'm the type of alpha that, like, in the end, I don't really care. I don't mind going along with the flow, but I like to challenge shit, and I think sometimes I do it too much. So like people will present an idea, and then I'll ask them like 10 questions on why they why they think I should choose their idea. Even though I know I'm going to choose it, I almost make it difficult for them because I want to see how committed they are to it. And I got to stop doing that to people because I think when you apply that type of pressure, a lot of people they fold from that shit. There are people who are around me that I noticed in 2019, and I started to break them, and not purposely. I think I'm so used to being myself, and not wavering on that, which in some regard I need to, which is what I plan to do. But I think because I was so stuck in my ways on certain things that I continued to kind of push people to their brink because I wanted to see if they could handle it and how committed they are and how real they are. Shout out to these people for not folding. But I also know that it kind of means that our time will have it will start to come to an end, I think, if I don't change my behavior, because I know that I can be a little too much and a little bit toxic sometimes for people. And that's not an easy thing to admit to oneself. And I know there's probably people listening to this who are really struggling with identifying within themselves that it's them and it's not the people around them. It's hard to do that, man, because you never want to have to acknowledge that maybe you're the problem. But sometimes that's just what it is. So even though I led with saying that in 2020 there won't be any changes, there will be some changes. But it's just stuff that I try to work on year over year. So it's not different. That's what I probably should have said. There won't be any different changes. We'll continue to make the same ones because life is all about growth. Not going to stop growing. I'm going to continue to be this, but I can also continue to work on myself and develop good habits and, speak a little bit softer. And, I'm somebody that I always try to promote the idea of listening with the intent to understand rather than with the intent to reply. And one of my current running goals is that I need to try to remember to be more mindful of that and live by the things that I preach. I don't preach a ton, and I don't use a ton of things like that to really like try to tell people about themselves because I'm somebody that I feel like I make a lot of fucking mistakes. So I'm not really one to, I do give advice, but I'm not somebody that's like, we all should do this and we all should do that. And if you're doing this, you're wrong. Like I'm not that type of person because I understand that I'm not a perfect human by any means, but I definitely need to be a better listener and be a better friend. And when I work in groups and on projects, on teams with people, I need to be a better teammate. Even like when I play basketball, you gotta be a better motivator. I want to try to stop like yelling at folks at the court. Yeah, you got to do it with like simple things. A lot of this is just testing what my self-discipline capacity can be. Like, do I have enough self-discipline to stop eating candy all 2020 and to really shed this weight and get these abs? Oh my God, if I do that, I'll stop. Do I have enough self-discipline to, set my pride aside when I'm speaking with people and allow them to have the last word and let that be it? Like, do I have enough to do that? Because I'm somebody that struggles with that. I always want to like communicate every thought that's in my head and not necessarily get the last word, but I'll never want to feel like I've been bested by people or feel like people are besting me. And I have to recognize that every conversation is not an attempt for somebody to try to best me. These are like little minor struggles that I have on a day-to-day basis. So we're working on these things all 2020, but man, I think it's going to be a good year. Not only for me, but for a lot of people around me. And for those of the people who are not around me now and probably will not be around me this year at all, I wish you guys the best of luck because I think everybody deserves an opportunity to have a strong, successful year. There's going to be a lot of bad things that happen to a lot of people, but I want everybody to stay strong. Things will be okay. Fuck, man. Try not to let this stuff beat you. I know it's probably tough to like try to hear that, because a lot of this stuff is very hard, but understand that you are more valuable here with your friends, with your family, with your people than you are not being here. Mental health is a big thing. We will still continue to raise awareness for that. Everybody should be out there doing whatever it is they need to do to take care of themselves. And if that means seeking therapy or developing new hobbies or finding a new a church group, or any type of support system, like adjusting your techniques and how you deal with stress, like do all of those little things because they can help facilitate major change in your life. A lot of the big goals that you guys have won't be accomplished if you don't take care of the little details. So that's one thing that I'm striving to do this year, is handle my mental health and get all that type of shit in check, which I think that'll be pretty easy. What I just need to do is I just need to stop denying myself the opportunity to seek and get therapy and, address issues that I have, past traumas that I have. I think that's an important part of life for everybody who has any of that type of baggage that they carry on to. Not every day is going to be perfect, and I know a lot of people who use the services of therapy and they say that it's very helpful. So I figure, hey, after all these years, why the fuck not, right? What's the worst that could happen? Maybe the couch is uncomfortable. I'm gonna have to tell my therapist though, whoever I sign on with, fam, you better have some freaking snacks when I come into that place, because you're not gonna get me to talk about nothing if we can't, break bread over like a pound cake or something. I wonder if they take requests like that. Do you think that I can go to my therapist and be like, look, I do have some requests. I need to have, the temperature needs to be 73 degrees in the room. I need to have a pound cake, brownie, or oatmeal raisin cookie. And I also need to be able to take my socks and shoes off without any questions being asked. Don't look at my feet, okay? If they can't meet these requirements, I don't want to use their services. And I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get on Yelp. I'm gonna let people know that this doctor is not very accommodating, because they're supposed to be there for me, right? So I just need a pound cake. That's it. Just gotta break some bread over a pound cake so I know I can trust you. That's the whole reason why I haven't gone up to this point. Is because, like, how do I know I can trust these niggas? I know there's patient-doctor confidentiality, whatever the case may be, but come on, man. I see movies, man. I see how they be playing. How do I know that this person's not gonna try to steal my identity? Well, why would they want my identity though? That wouldn't make no sense. You wouldn't want to downgrade yourself from being a successful, therapist and physician to then just being a nigga who's like trying to become a radio personality. That's probably not the life you want, fam. But even still, what if they try to like do what Kevorkian did to his patients? I mean, I don't know a whole lot about that, but you see how doctors be acting, man. It's crazy in there. So I try to just not even go. See, I already try to psych myself out, but you know what? It's okay. Because in 2020, we're doing things different. So I'm going to show up and I'm going to bring my own pound cake. Just as, to let them know, look, I'm here for business. And part of that is that we're going to have pound cake. So obviously you can tell I'm very hungry because I napped earlier, and I haven't had a pound cake in probably about 2 or 3 years, like a really good one. And it's all I've been thinking about for the last couple weeks, because I am about to get back on the Whole30 diet on Monday. So look, man, it's Thursday. If there's anybody out there who can help me out and make me a pound cake, like a really, really good one, that way before I go on this diet, I can have one last day of joy and happiness. Because anybody who's ever done the Whole30 diet, you understand that there's nothing happy about that. The food tastes like shit. I mean, no, the food is not bad, but if you're somebody like me who likes to eat Chinese food, pizza, sushi, and load up on carbs and eat, greasy shit and all that, the Whole30 diet ain't for you, fam. Because when you do that, you can't eat none of that shit. Now, it does help. You're going to sleep better. You're going to feel better when you exercise. Like, energy levels you'll be through the freaking roof. Everything will probably improve when you stop eating like shit. But I'm here to tell you, I would much rather eat Red Robin and get bottomless fries and, or go to Pizza Hut and eat whole pizzas. I'd much rather do that than be on a Whole30 diet. But summer bodies are built in the wintertime. Technically, it's still winter. I mean, my guns are okay. You can see on the video I'm looking right. But the tire around my waist has to go. I can't have these titties jiggling during the summertime because you never know who's gonna be looking. And look, I don't want the thing that's clapping to be my titties. That can't be the case. If I'm clapping, it ain't gonna be my titties, fam. we cannot have that happen. So, that's why I gotta go on this diet. But looking, if anyone can help me, I need a pound cake and I need it before Monday. You have 2 days. So hook me up, man, if you got it. Man, let's see, man. We got about 10 minutes, man. Again, it's 2020. This was our first show of the year. I'm very excited because we have 2 of these a week. And I'm literally waiting for Sherry to send me an email or a message saying, hey, if you want to bump up to 3 days, let me know. And I'm going to be like, done. Sherry, if you're listening, in 2020, we'll be ready to do 3 shows a week. If you're ever wanting us to upgrade, you let me know. But we're going to be doing it big in 2020, man. I'm going to be on this diet. I'm going to be looking like an action figure pretty soon. There's going to be more traveling. We're going to have hosts on the show. We're going to have more guests. I'm sure at some point Cheese will make an appearance on one of our shows in 2020. We're going to have a new location pretty soon, hopefully very, very soon, sooner rather than later. We will move this from where we're currently at to a more permanent location. What else? Man, I don't know, man. Other than that, nothing crazy is gonna happen. There's no kids on the way. I'm not getting married or anything like that. That is happening to a bunch of my friends. So shout out to y'all. I got a bunch of people who are pregnant. Got a bunch of people who are getting married. Everything is all love in 2020. You guys are gonna do great. My last thing before I go, I wanted to give a shout out to any and all young aspiring hoopers. I follow a lot of basketball pages on IG, and Ball is Life does a really good job of showcasing a lot of the young talent. And I know as I got older and I watched a lot of my favorite childhood basketball star heroes, whatever you want to call them, as I saw them phase out of the game, there have been times where I thought to myself, man, well, who's going to be next? And how are we going to replace this guy? How are we going to replace that girl? How do we find other people to fill these great shoes? But Ball is Life does a really good job of promoting a lot of the younger classes, of talent that we have. And I will say, man, I was looking at some videos the other day. These young men and women that we have, oh my God, they're killers. So I just hope that while they're in school, they stay on top of their grades. They keep their minds on track, stay focused. You guys have bright futures. And it's young, elementary school all the way up to high school, man. We have some kids that are going to be really great at their craft if they stick with it, they stay out of trouble, and they stay focused and humble. I think that's beautiful to see, because one of the knocks about youth sports is that we make the shit not fun for kids because we've made it very competitive. Parents make it not as fun for their children because they freak out on them, and they're demanding so much excellence, while also not acknowledging that some kids just don't have currently, if they're young still, they may not in that moment have the physical capabilities needed to do what you see other kids doing on TV. There are just some kids who are just naturally gifted. Like, there's not just a bunch of LeBron James type of kids walking the earth. There are very few kids who are at that age of 17, 18 years old that have grown man type of bodies or grown women type of bodies who can go out and compete with other adults. It's hard to accomplish. So there are some times where you can clearly see that we do take things a little bit too seriously, and we push our kids to the point where they do not like the sports. But for those kids that can actually stay committed and stay in it, man, like I said, when you watch these videos, some of these kids are killers, man. They have bright futures, and it's good to see, because it means the future of our sport is safe. I mean, as I get older, all the players that I once knew, that I watched as a kid, they're all retired. And all the ones that are the same age as me who are still playing basketball are on their way to retirement. So now it's up to the young people to take over and, you know, make the game fun. So the Lukas and the Trey Youngs and the Zions of the world, and you know, there's just so many players that we have. Like, man, I think even next year you're gonna see some kids come to the NBA. Like R.J. Hampton is a name that you want to be on the lookout for. I never thought I would say this, but LaMelo Ball actually has turned himself into a nice player, and he went from being a little shithead kid, or at least the appearance of being a little shithead kid, to like he's now like 6'6". You know, he has the NBA body. He's making NBA type of plays against grown competition and talent. So you can see where a lot of these kids, they have very bright futures. And there's so many other kids that are in the high school ranks right now, man. Like, and you watch these kids, it's like, holy shit. Like, even when I watch it, I'm like, yo, I'm getting a little bit concerned, man, because like they might come to the court and bust me up. Can't let that happen. But it's cool because I would say watching these young kids, it's pushing me to make me want to get my game better, because I want to try to play this shit as long as I can. My brother and I, we had, you know, vowed to each other a couple years ago that we wanted to try to play basketball until we were probably about 50. Who knows if that's going to happen? It's a long time off for any of us to turn 50, but even still, man, you take some of these falls and you know, you turn an ankle here and there. Like, the recovery process is very slow as you get older. But I would say, man, these young kids, they're keeping me motivated. I love the game of basketball. So for me, it's a no-brainer to want to give them all props, man. You guys are all killers. And I hope you stick with it. Do not let somebody steal your joy and your love of sports. Do not let people have that power over you. The sports are beautiful, man. So we closed the show out on that, man. We're going to play some music. I don't know what's going to play, but I know after my shit is done, the Ryan Show is next, so stay tuned. Check out the boys out in the NYC. They're killing it. Man, hopefully 2020 is a good year for them and everybody else that's on Track Talk Radio, man. Everybody that's a part of the channel, and obviously Sherry, she's killing it, but everybody that's a part of this, man, hey, we want to have a strong, good year, and we are going to do so, man. All of you guys, your art is dope, your projects are dope. It doesn't matter what anyone says, your shit is dope. Keep grinding. Let's do this shit. 2020 is going to be the year for us, man. So we're going to close out the show, man. It's the Meanquil Jackson Show. Like I said, live on Track Talk Radio, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Tuesday and every Thursday. We are here. So we'll see you guys next week, man. It's all love. 2020, we lit. And as I do my poetry snaps, that's how I close out the show, man. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you on Tuesday, or maybe I'll take the day off. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.